channel. Today's everyday design tips, we are getting into why big art needs to be present in your space in more than just one place, and why we need to move away from gallery walls. And I'm going to give you some tips on how high to hang your artwork depending upon where it is you're putting it in your space. So let's get to it. Hello, and here we are, and I am standing in front of none other than a large piece of artwork. Before I launch into all those reasons why we need to go big or go home when it comes to art in our homes, please remember to go ahead and hit that thumbs up button at the end if you really enjoyed today's video. Comment down below, let me know what your thoughts are. If you're like, Liza, come on, I am totally pro gallery wall, you will never change my mind. That's cool. Tell me why. Tell me what you're afraid of. Why not go big? I just want to hear about it. And of course, hit that subscribe button. Large art gives you an opportunity, and your guests as they come through your home, to really take it in. Think of it almost as a gallery type experience. You are walking into an art gallery. It's rare that you see clusters of artwork all together in a gallery style. That really isn't the common theme when you do go to any kind of a museum or a gallery to view an exhibition. They are generally pieces that take up some space. They have their own moments. And that's something that I just really love about large-scale art. The other thing that I really love about large-scale art is the ability to place it in places within your space that aren't necessarily overly obvious. Everybody has a wall or an area in their home where they kind of just don't know what to do with that wall. Do I leave it blank? Do I put something up on it? Do I not? I generally find when I see one of those walls, my best solution is to test out large-scale art first versus trying to fill it with knickknacks or a little mini gallery. That is always something that I try out first, and quite often it really is that magic bullet. So for example, here in our little condo of cuteness, we have this interesting wall. And in general, the floor plan of this space, what I did with our furniture and how I set things up was to really float things in this larger space. A lot of folks actually put their sofa on this wall here, and then they still keep their TV over here, and then they'll put some chairs over on this side. Personally, that didn't make sense for me and for the flow that I wanted the space to really have, so I could have a separate little dining area and then a separate little living area. So what I was left with was this wall underneath of this longer, thinner window up top and a more vertical window to the right. I had this kind of white space. I had this gap whereby I also needed some color. I have zero interest in painting this apartment, so I always advise people, if you cannot paint, bring in artwork. Bring in a lot of colorful artwork, especially if your walls are a super light, like white, creamy, neutral, pretty much like what we have here. So bring in that color with your accessories, with your artwork, with any window treatments if you're allowed to put those up. Those are easy ways to add those pops of color. So that's exactly what I needed right here in this space. I have my sofa right here. I have my little ottomans that serve multiple purposes right in front. And I had this blank wall that just needed something. And instead of me trying to knick-knack and put up a small little gallery, this print I had in my head from the minute we moved, which used to be in our powder room, the color, the size, it gave me visual interest. It really does hook you in this section, this defined living space section, that you wouldn't normally think a big piece of art could go, but it really does. So I encourage you to always play with that. If you find that random wall that you're just not quite sure what to do, play around with a larger scale piece of art. At least tape out a big piece of cardboard, put it up there. It doesn't have to be an exact anything, obviously, but just for scale, it's a great way to test out to see if something that size, something larger, would fill in that gap quite nicely. And absolutely, without a doubt, this one did. So with that, I'm going to show you general rules of thumb with regard to measuring on how you should hang your artwork. Normally, I always advise artwork, the center of the art should be anywhere between 55 to 57 inches. So generally, you're looking at it eye level. Now, that does not have to be this steadfast rule of thumb, right? So clearly here, 55, 57 inches, I'm gonna show you, would be way too high for the center of this print, simply because this area that I have between the bottom of the floor and my window frame is not that high, right? So right here, I would say the center of this picture is really more so around like the 44, right? So I'm almost 10 inches short of what I normally would recommend artwork to be, okay? But again, there's always exceptions to a rule, and that's just your creativity. That's where you get to truly play and to experiment and break those rules, because sometimes the best design is when you're not looking something up for an exact measurement in according to what everybody else says to do. And that was my thought here. I knew I wanted something big, I knew I wanted something with color, and I knew I wanted it to make me feel something when I looked at this empty wall. And this print, without a doubt, did that for me. Always look for exceptions to the rule. Another reason why I love large scale art is that many times you think that if you live in a big space only, that's really where you should stick to keeping anything big, from furniture to artwork. I am here and I beg to differ because we moved from a just under 2,700 square foot home into a 720 square foot condo, and the majority of the artwork that I brought with us was big. And the same thing with my furniture. I don't have a bunch of small random pieces of furniture everywhere. I have furniture that fills this space. And in actuality, when you fill a space, especially when it's small, you get the feeling that it is larger, that things just feel more cohesive, they make more sense. And the same thing rings true with artwork. So I'm going to take you into a couple other areas in our condo and show you exactly why those large scale pieces of art really do work in small spaces. So here we are in our bedroom, and we have, again, quite a few larger walls that I needed to fill with art. And I brought in all of the big art. I originally had this in our foyer, which you know makes perfect sense. A really grand piece of artwork in a foyer. But gosh, you're moving to a 720 square foot condo. Why would you bring this massive piece of artwork that also had to get crated, which cost us extra money? Yada, yada, yada on the move part. But I'm so glad that I did, because this wall next to our bed, so big, and it's so pretty to look at while we are laying in bed. This, again, it emotes something. It gives me very calm vibes as I look at the different blues and the grays and how they really just almost ombre up into a very light shade. It reminds me of the sea. It reminds me that this is where we moved to. I love the weathered frame that's on it. We're gonna get into framing again in the next video. But I really wanted to bring this, and I knew that either of these walls would work to put this big piece of art. Here's another reason why large scale art really can help you in a lot of ways. If you have an electrical box that's placed in your home in an unideal location that's just kind of an eyesore, you can always cover it with a large scale piece of art or any kind of wooden sign, perhaps. That's what we ended up doing. So I thought that this piece of artwork was going to cover that electrical box, but it's just too beautiful. And when you come into the bedroom, I really wanted you to be able to see it. Whereas on if you're depending on where you're looking at our bed, if you're looking at the bed, the left side of the wall, you really can't see that very well until you really get inside of the bedroom. So I actually reversed it and I said, this is gonna be the big piece of artwork you're gonna be able to see once you enter into the bedroom. And it is definitely a wow moment. And here's another example of where using large scale art really was an impactful moment for us. Above the bed, a lot of people ask me questions. What do I put above a bed? Do I do a mirror? Do I do a piece of artwork? Do I do a cluster of different pieces, be it wall hangings or artwork mixed with mirrors? I also was faced with that dilemma. We have a window on the right side and not one on the left. So it created a issue of imbalance, and I'm a very balanced and symmetrical designer. So I really was trying to think about how can I balance this back wall headboard area so it makes the most sense to me aesthetically. And my best solution was, again, using a large scale piece of artwork, getting it framed, and trying to create the illusion with height when I lined it up to align with the window top, trying to create that illusion that things are more symmetrical. And by using one piece as opposed to multiples, I was able to really hone in on that symmetry much better by doing it this way than if I was to have used multiple pieces. So if you're also trying to gain symmetry in your space, think about how you can use a big print instead of multiple pieces. Thank you guys so much for joining today. I hope you enjoyed today's Everyday Design tip all about how going big when it comes to artwork is really a great way to make a statement and to express yourself and to really fill up spaces. There's no need to skirt around and go small. Just go big. If you have any questions, please let me know. Comment section's down below. So is my email in the description, and I would love to hear from you. So please give it a thumbs up, please subscribe, and we will catch you on the next one, which is why custom framing your artwork is really a good idea too. So we'll see you then.